It's been just over a week since I've returned from our Israel Solidarity trip, and I'd like to share some reflections on it with you. It was a very intense and non-stop 3.5 days in which we had three very clear aims. Firstly, to show our love and support for our brothers and sisters there, and by a physical presence in Israel. Secondly, in order to hear firsthand what happened on the 7th of October and how the country has responded to those horrific events. And thirdly, to understand how we can help them, what we can do back here. And we were overwhelmed by how appreciative people were of us coming. They kept thanking us and giving us gifts, and the warmth of their welcome was genuine and palpable, as was their generosity. From everyone we met, from the mayor of Shoam to the man making our eggs at breakfast. We kept being told how much us being there was giving them chizuk, strength. But the truth is, they gave us far more than we gave them. And we heard heartbreaking stories from residents of Kfar Aza who lost relatives, and those people who are supporting the families of the hostages. And we listened to displaced residents of Alumim describe what it's like to hide with their children for hours, whilst those terrorists rampaged through their kibbutz, murdering and destroying whatever they could find. And they shared with us the real dilemma that they have, whether they can ever return to their homes because of the concerns they have for their children's safety. At Har Herzl Military Cemetery, we met the brother of Nathaniel Young, a lone soldier from the UK who was killed on the 7th of October. But we also heard from an organisation called Regrowth Israel of their ambitious plans to build agriculture back stronger in the western Negev, and the farmers' unbelievable resilience and determination to come back stronger despite the wanton destruction. They want to continue to be world leaders in innovation. And we danced and we sang with soldiers who just returned after 2 months in Gaza. We were amazed by their spirit and their achdus, their unity. It was incredibly uplifting, as was their strength and positivity. These were young men who, despite what they've experienced, were clear on their purpose and the justness of their cause. And we came to understand the tremendous responsibility that we have to share our experiences, to relay the trauma that the country has been through and yet hasn't yet had time to fully process. The situation is complex. It's a completely different reality, and for many, their lives and plans for the future are on hold. As someone said to us, the sadness hurts, but we're together. And they really appreciate our support because they really need our support, both financially, physically, and emotionally. Yes, we can leave Israel, but we cannot let Israel leave us. We must bring Israel to people and bring people to Israel. And so we will look for ways to strengthen and deepen our connection to our brothers and sisters there. And each and every one of us can do something, must do something. On Shabbat Shir, we heard Shir Hayam, that triumphant song that Jewish people sang at the splitting of the sea. But the song wasn't a one-off historical event. As we know, it's repeated daily throughout the centuries of Jewish life in our morning prayers. The ecstasy of that moment is still retained and felt many generations later in the unmatched prose and poetry written in the Torah. But the question we should ask is, why would we find this? Why do we find a song at that pivotal moment in our nation's journey from slavery to freedom? Is it even appropriate to sing at such a significant time as this? Well, the truth is that a song reflects a mood. It offers a snapshot of feelings. It can be upbeat or a dirge, joyous or somber, and so much else in between. We can imagine what the song would sound like at the other key moments and key points in our recent history. 1948, 1967, 1973. But what is the soundtrack to the 7th of October 2023 and Israel today? Well, it would have to echo the tragedy, the trauma, the shock and the disbelief, but also the strength, the unity and the hope. At Shir Hospital, we heard the incredible story of Amit Bav, a combat soldier who was close to death after a 6mm piece of shrapnel entered his heart during fighting in Gaza. He was miraculously saved by surgeons when they decided to treat the bleeding, but to leave the projectile in his heart. It's such a rare occurrence that there have only ever been a few cases in the world in which shrapnel was safely left in a person's heart. As one of the surgeons explained, it was a case of risk versus a chance to save his life. And Baruch Hashem, after cardiac rehabilitation, he's now home and recovering well. And for me, that's symbolic of the situation that we're currently in. Like Yaakov Avinu, like Jacob our forefather, who fought off the angel but was left with a wounded thigh, we're not victims, but survivors. We've miraculously survived so many times before throughout history. From slavery and exile, persecution and pogroms, the Holocaust, and we will survive this. Yes, we've been hurt, and hurt badly. But even with that pain in our hearts, we are Yisrael. Ki sarita im Elokim v'namashim. We have fought with the angel and with man. Vatuchal, and we prevailed. And we will always prevail. And in order to do so, we must remember three things. Firstly, as it says in the Shir, Hashem ish milchama, Hashem shemoy. God is always with us in battle. His eyes are constantly on Israel. Here in the Song of Moshe and Israel, we acknowledge God's great hand without ascribing any credit to human beings and natural and social and definitely not political forces. Secondly, as we see throughout Israel, the words Yachad Nunatseach. Together we will be successful. Together we will win. And as David Melech King David teaches us, at that time, at the time of the final redemption, Az Yimales Chok Pinu Shonin Rina, then our tongues will be filled with song. Az Yomru Vagoyim, Higdil Hashem Lasos Imele. Then they will say amongst the nations, God has done great things for them. The melody and the song may be new to us, but the message will certainly be grounded in the teachings of Moses and Israel in the Song of the Sea. And finally, as it says at the beginning of Shir Shayam, Az Yashir Moshe v'nei Yisrael et Hashir Hazos. Then Moshe and the Jewish people will sing this song. You look closely, you'll notice it's not in the present tense, but in the future tense, because this song is yet unfinished. There are more verses to be written. And please God, we will hear that great song of Moshe and Israel sung once again, loudly, clearly, and triumphantly throughout Israel. Am Yisrael Chai.